Hello, students. How are you, my dear students? I'm sure you all are good and safe at home, and your studies are also going well. Dear students, I am here with you all with module number 5 for class 10th Science Biology. Dear students, today's topic for discussion is respiration. When you heard the term respiration, obviously in your mind arises a picture of a person with breathing or an animal with breathing. But dear students, respiration is somewhat more complex as you are thinking about. Respiration not only concern with the exchange of gases but also the breaking down of respiratory substrate and release of energy and its utilization for various metabolic. Dear students, we have discussed nutrition in organisms in the last section. We know that after the digestion, food is absorbed and goes to each and every cell of the body for its utilization to generate energy. Energy which is in the form of ATP. And this energy is very essential also. Why? Because organisms need such energy for performing different works and activities. So, all the living creatures need energy from food only. So, the process which involve in the generation of energy within the body or within the cell level, it's called as respiration, or we can also say as cellular respiration. If we look over the definition of respiration, what is respiration, then it is written here: the catabolic, exothermic and oxidative breakdown of food to release energy in the form of ATP. एक catabolic exothermic process जिसमें फूड ऑक्सीडाइज होता है या ब्रेक होता है, जिससे कि एनर्जी रिलीज होती है और वो एनर्जी एटीपी के फॉर्म में होती है. If we look over the reaction involved, so see the reaction. One molecule of glucose C6H12O6 when combined with 6 molecule of oxygen, 6 molecule of carbon dioxide, which is a cellular waste gas, plus 6 molecule of water, and energy is released. Dear students, there is a diagram that shows the respiratory system of human beings. Various parts are labeled. Respiratory tract begins from nose, which are the open as a nostrils, which opens into a cavity called nasal cavity, and then it's give rise to a larynx, pharynx, bronchus, tracheas, bronchioles, and further in lungs. Diverse organisms do the process of respiration in different ways. Now, organisms are breaking the food or respiratory substrate, that is glucose, in presence of oxygen or in absence of oxygen. On that basis, organisms are called as aerobes and anaerobes, and their respiration are known as aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Let us see. Some organisms use oxygen to break down glucose, which is completely break out into carbon dioxide and water, and such process involved is called aerobic respiration. And these aerobes are plants and animals. On the other hand, some use other pathway that do not involve oxygen, but they have a capacity to break the oxygen. Such organisms are anaerobes, and they are yeast and bacteria. Not only yeast means fungi and bacteria. And in the process of anaerobic respiration, glucose is incompletely oxidized. As a result, the ATP formation are also less. You know that the process of respiration is not as simple as we are thinking. As I told you that it's only not involved the exchange of gases. And respiration is a much more complex process. It includes three main steps. Number one, breathing or gaseous exchange, in which the oxygen is intake and carbon dioxide is expelled out by organs. Second is gaseous transport through blood. Now, oxygen which is taken is transferred to the various cells or tissues through connective tissue, that is blood. And carbon dioxide, which is cellular waste, it also comes through blood for expelling out. Number third step, that is oxidation of food inside the cell, that involves cellular respiration. Here, when oxygen through blood reaches the cells or tissue, inside the cell, when oxygen reached, then the glucose which is sent already inside the cell break out, and as a result we have seen in reaction what happened, produce. But my dear students, it is not always same. Here I am giving you three situations. So let us learn by these three situations in different organisms. The whole process of respiration involves two complex cycles. One is called glycolysis, in which glucose is breakout, and second cycle is called Krebs cycle. Cycle is called Krebs cycle. My dear students, I'm sure you are getting it. First cycle is glycolysis and second one is a Krebs cycle. In first cycle glycolysis, what will happen? Glucose is cycle, and in Krebs cycle, further breaked out product, it's converted into the simplest form. Glycolysis takes place in cell cytoplasm and Krebs cycles takes place in mitochondria. Now, come back with the flow chart on a given slide. Here, there is a flow chart that depicts the three situations as I told you. In situation number first, that is the glycolysis, which is common for both the respiration, whether it is aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration, in which glucose, which is a 6-carbon molecule inside the cell cytoplasm, breaks out into a simple form, that is pyruvate or pyruvic acid, which is 3 carbon energy is released. Now, in aerobic respiration, where the oxygen is present, in such situation in cell, what happens? This pyruvate moves toward the mitochondria, and in mitochondria, in presence of oxygen, through Krebs cycle, carbon dioxide, water, and energy is produced. In second situation, glycolysis is common. Now, pyruvate from the cell cytoplasm remain in the cell cytoplasm. And in cell cytoplasm, in absence of oxygen, in else, this pyruvate converted into ethanol, which is an alcohol, and carbon dioxide plus energy. In third situation, when the muscle cells during the time of exercise, regular exercise, that is prolonged exercise we can say, or at the time of running, what happened? The muscle cells become deficient of oxygen. In such situation, what happened? Lack of oxygen will result into a anaerobic respiration in muscle cells. But what happened? Glucose oxidizes. As a result, pyruvate is formed in a cytoplasm, but it fails to go to mitochondria, and in cell cytoplasm only a 3-carbon molecule lactic acid is produced with a less energy. Now we know that this lactic acid is a result of cramps which we usually observed at the time of prolonged exercise. From the slide, in some cases, the first step is the breaking down of glucose, a 6-carbon molecule, into a 3-carbon molecule called pyruvate. This process takes place in the cytoplasm. Further, the pyruvate may be converted into ethanol and carbon dioxide. This process takes place in yeast during the fermentation. The process is called fermentation. Since this process takes place in absence of air, that is oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. Breakdown of pyruvate using oxygen takes place in the mitochondria. This process breaks up the 3-carbon pyruvate to give 3 molecules of carbon dioxide. Since this process takes place in the presence of oxygen that is required, then what happens? It is called anaerobic respiration, because oxygen is what? Absence or presence? Here, aerobic respiration, oxygen is present. It is called aerobic respiration, and the release of energy in this aerobic respiration or process is a lot greater than in the anaerobic process. Sometimes when there is a lack of oxygen in our muscles cells, another pathway for the breakdown of pyruvate is taken. Here, the pyruvate is converted into lactic acid, which is also a 3-carbon molecule. Lactic acid in our muscles during sudden activity causes cramps. The energy released during cellular respiration is immediately used to synthesize a molecule called ATP, which is used to fuel all other activities in the cell. In this process, ATP is broken down, giving rise to a fixed amount of energy which can drive the endothermic reactions taking place in the cell. Dear children, I am sure this is clear to you all. These are the ways by which glucose is oxidized to provide energy in various organisms. These ways can be 3 kinds: absence of oxygen and in lack of oxygen during prolonged exercise. Since the aerobic respiration pathway depends on oxygen, so aerobic organisms, those who do aerobic respiration, need to ensure that there is sufficient intake of oxygen. Plant also do aerobic respiration. So we have seen the plant exchanges gases through stomata. Not only stomata, dear children, plant do exchange of gases through its various parts. In leaf, stomata present, in epidermis. So in its leaf, exchange of gases takes place through stomata. In roots, it takes place through general body surface by diffusion. And stem, in their bark, there are lenticles. So in old stem, it takes place through lenticles. So we have seen that plant exchange gases through stomata, and the large intercellular spaces ensure that all cells are in contact with air. Carbon dioxide and oxygen are exchanged by diffusion here. They can go into the cell or away from them and out into the air. And likewise, plant do the exchange of gases. But the direction of diffusions depend upon the environmental conditions and the requirement of plants. What happened at night and day? Let us see. At night, where there is no photosynthesis, we know photosynthesis is a process that requires light, so at night photosynthesis is not occurring. Then carbon dioxide elimination is a major exchange activity that is going on in plants. But during the day, photosynthesis is taking place, and as a result, carbon is used up for photosynthesis. Do you remember the reaction of photosynthesis? It required carbon dioxide. Hence, there is no carbon dioxide release. Instead, oxygen release is the major event at this time. So, dear children, here we completed respiration module first. In next module, we will discuss about respiration in animals. So, it's kindly requested to you to revise topic taught before moving to the next module. Thank you.